Now for the real deal New England feel.
I went up the rail. I might go down to be ashamed of myself.
You should be ashamed of yourself.
CORSO and CATONE.
Welcome into CORSO and CATONE, the real deal New England feel. CORSO CATONE is here. Joe's with us in the booth, giving us a brand new intro for the show.
I like that
which is
intro.
really cool. I liked it too. That's why we're laughing. You're watching us on YouTube. Hey, when you're on YouTube, make sure you subscribe. Give us that like, that thumbs up. That's what we really appreciate and really want. We thank you. And also check out our shorts and short reels. Those are pretty popular. Leave a comment. We will read it on the air. And if you're listening to us, it's on iHeartRadio, Apple Podcast, 790 The Score. And make sure you contact us and Heated Hotline, 855-313-PATS, P-A-T-S. Message line 24/7. Leave a message. Have a take. Joe will pick one. Let it be yours. Or you can email us in our mailbag, corso.catone@gmail.com. Got a busy one here. B's and C's. No B's. Screw the B's. We're going to be talking C's in that Celtics match. Celtics Magic series is now over. And we're going to go weekly rewind, talk about the draft a little bit. And then we're going to hear from you over here in Catone's comments, see what the hell he's got to bring to the table. We're going to hear from one of you in the nation in Heated Hotline. Gentlemen.
Hey.
Do either of you know what today is, what this show is?
I think I have an idea, but I might.
This is our 200th show.
I was going to say that. Yeah.
Yippee.
200.
It's our 200th show. Imagine doing
Nice.
this 200 times. You know,
Wow.
already.
That's,
So,
yeah, I can't believe it.
doesn't seem
I
like a
don't
lot,
believe
but when you're dealing with these two guys, it's
I was just gonna say that if anyone
No.
else wants to send us some
Joe.
flowers,
No,
courtesy
Joe.
of course.
And, and Chris, this actually started as your idea to do a post-game show.
yeah.
And that was how this got started. We would get out, we would do a live post-game show after
Patriots
the Patriots
post-game
games,
show.
remember? Yeah.
Yep. And I called Joe and I said, Joe, do you remember what I asked you?
Oh yeah, it's usually the same concept. When everybody asks me to do some, do you think we could do?
Right.
And I'm like, here we go. Dot.
Like, you
What?
can do whatever you want. He said, you can do anything you want. I said, no. Do you think we can do it? You know, little did we know how fantastic we would be over the last how many years we've been doing
Joe's
this,
been
you know?
beating us up for 4 years in the prep
Yeah, I
for the
know.
shows.
It is.
Joe beats us up, you know?
So congratulations, boys, on 200 shows. And
Yeah.
well, let's get pissed off. Come on, let's talk a little bit. Actually, you know, we're going to say some good, nice things about the Celtics, right?
We're going to, yeah.
Well, we're going to do it in B's and C's, Joe. You know, I went back and I listened to and watched one of the early episodes, like, you know, first out of the gate when we were doing an hour and a half show.
Well, that was the post-game show. That's right. That was an hour and a half.
Well, no,
forgot
I mean,
about that.
this show, CORSO and CATONE.
show was
we did
too?
yeah,
I didn't remember that.
We did an hour and a half, and boy, we've come a long way. I will say that. Let me just say that. Okay, we've come a long, long way. Anyway, all right. You know what's come a long way into the second round is the Boston Celtics. They took care of in a gentleman's sweep. They took care of the Magic in 5 games.
Which we both predicted 5, Chris.
Yeah,
Is that what
convincingly.
it's called? The gentleman's sweep?
That's what it's called. Yeah.
I never knew that.
I never knew that either. All these years, you taught me something, Christopher, and you never
you
teach
give 'em-
me anything. But
You give them one game as a nice gesture, and then you wipe their ass for them in game 5, and now it's
There
all
we
set.
go.
You know,
Gentleman sweep. There we go.
right? The gentleman sweep. So, okay, Mark, let's talk about this series that happened and how it's going to relate going forward, because I think it's going to be the Knicks who they play.
Yeah. Well, you know, Detroit blew that game over the weekend, Chris. I think it was Sunday of this past week. If they didn't blow that game, Detroit had that game won. They choked. If they don't blow that game,
They're up 3-2.
They probably win it. But yeah, you got to figure the Knicks will win it.
Yeah. But with this series that just happened, so the Celtics, what would you say? They got punched in the mouth. They did. They got punched in the mouth, which is the reason why they lost that game in Orlando, game 3.
Yeah.
And they didn't really respond until game 4, and they really punched back. And I was pleasantly surprised in this series to see the grit, the fight, the push, not just from the team, but from Tatum. You?
Yeah, Tatum responded. Listen, and Chris, Tatum responded after going, so the play he gets hurts the wrist. I don't know how dirty of a play that was, Chris. I mean, the guy went to try to block the ball. I don't think it was dirty. He hit him while he was in the air, but I don't think it was dirty or anything intentional about it. The guy they're playing. Listen, Orlando, like you said, Chris, was punching. They wanted to play. They wanted to get a little physical, which they did. And, Tatum, it is what it is. But let me tell you something. They said, oh, he's doubtful. He missed one game, and then he toughened it out, and he played. And boy, did he play, Chris. He punched back and let people know, no, I'm one of the best players in the league, if not the best. I should be an MVP candidate, Right.
And during the series, we heard from a couple of these guys. Joe?
This guy's special. He's he just has, I think also just from when I got here to now, he's developed even more of a killer instinct, and he's been getting his big buckets, in this series and last year's playoffs, and then third game, he thanks to him, we were right there, and today again he was phenomenal.
Year after year, just getting older, having more experience, understanding the moment, being in these moments plenty of times, enjoying being in those moments, and not necessarily like take over the game, but being in a position where to make a play. And I say it all the time. And for myself or for a teammate, you just want to be in a position where you're involved and, you got a part of the action or whatever, and the game was on the line.
So that, of course, that was Porzingis and Tatum after one of the games. Porzingis was speaking about Tatum and how far he's come and so on, and then of course you heard from Tatum. So, yeah, talking about his toughness, it isn't even so much the toughness of playing through an injury, which we've seen him do that. I mean, he rarely misses a game. It's within the game. A lot of what we talked about with him and the criticism I particularly have had for him over the years was, is he an alpha? Is he one of those dogs? Is he a guy that's going to get in your face and all? And he's not really. And I've come to terms with that and basically said, hey, I was wrong. People show toughness in different ways. He carries his team on his back in different ways. But in this series, Mark, he pushed some guys around. He got in guys' face. He came to bat for some of his players.
He did. Listen. He did. Go ahead. He did.
No. Yeah.
He did that, Chris. He and he did come to bat for some of his players, but that alpha, that dog in him, after he got hurt, he pushed back, he punched back, he got more aggressive. He absolutely did. But just the way he played, Chris, he put up 36 in one game. He was grabbing rebounds. He was taking control of the game. Just those types of things. You're right, Chris. We didn't necessarily see out of him.
Right.
Yes.
No, and and the other thing too is with taking the other criticism we've had of him is, he's disappeared in some fourth quarters in some of these series and the playoffs in the past. And you're looking at this series, he's the second player in Celtics history to have 3 straight games with 35 plus points. You know who the other guy was?
Larry Bird.
Yeah, Larry Bird. Larry Legend.
Legend.
And I mean, think about that. Not Russell, not Pierce.
Garnett.
Nobody else on that list.
None of those guys. None of the great old timers, right? Russell, Havlicek. Right. Think about that.
No one in the playoff series. Kuzi, any of them.
Kuzi, none of them. Yeah.
And that's saying something. I mean, that's remarkable. And what I like I said again, particularly is some of these fourth quarters. I mean, the last game, game 5, he had 35 points. He was 10. I mean, these stats, I think are an NBA record. I'm pretty sure this is an NBA record. 35 points. He was 10 of 16. You talk about efficient. He was 10 of 16, 4 or 5 from 3-point land. Free throws, he was perfect with free throws in the series. 11 of 11, 10 assists, 8 rebounds, plus minus of 34. Those statistics, percentage-wise, are an NBA record. I mean, this is what we expected out of him. This is the MVP stuff, Mark, that we wanted from him.
Yeah, and we're getting it.
But why doesn't he?
Because, Chris, I think
he's underappreciated, they say. I mean,
yeah, well, and he probably is. I think he is. But listen, I mean, you and I think underappreciate his talent and what he actually does every night, right? I think we just take it for granted, Chris, because like you said, he's not necessarily that alpha dog, and he does it in a quiet way. And then all of a sudden you look and you're like, holy shit, he had that many points and that many rebounds? Really? He just does it in a different way. And I think, to his credit, he's taking some control out there, Chris, because no matter what they want to say, and I give him a lot of credit too, Chris. I give Jaylen Brown credit. He's out there. He's toughening it up. He's gutting it out. Jaylen Brown might be at like 60%, Chris. He's constantly rubbing his knee. Brown is not healthy, but he's toughening out. He's playing. He's dogging it. He's playing. He's not, and Tatum knows he's not 100%, Chris. So I give him credit for saying, "Yeah, I got you, dude. I got you, dog. I got you. Get on my back. I'm gonna take us home. I got us." Right. So he's doing that for Brown, because Brown did that last year when Tatum struggled. Brown said, "No, I got it, guys. Let's go. We're gonna win this thing." You know what I mean? And now Tatum's paying the favor back to him.
Right. And talking about the rest of the team, like you're saying, what I really loved about this series is they made a concerted effort, Orlando, to take away. First of all, they stink. Orlando stinks. They can't shoot their way out of a wet paper bag, this team. Bricks all over the place. So let's just say that. And so all they tried to do was foul pretty much every time, push them around, all that. But they made a concerted effort to take away the three-pointer. I mean, I'm going
to give them credit for that, Chris. They actually did it.
They did it
in several games.
But what was more impressive to me was how the Celtics respond to that and say, because we've been talking about
we would just keep chucking up threes,
just keep throwing them up.
Yep.
Instead, drive in the lane. The points in the paint were fantastic. Porzingis, he didn't have a great series, but you saw them posting up. Tatum went to the rim more over and over and over, and nobody else was coming. The only thing I will say that they could have done different is they rushed things a little too much. They played in the paint. They played in the with the drive as if somebody was coming, and they could have played on 2 feet more than they did, because nobody was ever coming. No. There was nobody ever coming when they came into the lane. No. And they took advantage of that. Missoula did a great job with these guys adjusting and taking care of and winning in a different way.
Chris, you've been screaming that for 2 years, to win in a different way because you can, and they finally did. So that's also, Chris, yes, I give Missoula credit for that, but that's also, I think, a sign of maturity. A team that's starting to mature. They've won a championship now. They've got the monkey off their back. They got a little different swagger about them, and I think that's a level of maturity on their part too, Chris. I think, in addition to Missoula, I think it's a little more maturity on Missoula's part. That, okay, guys, why don't do it this way? I know I don't preach that, but this is what we're going to have to do here, because they're taking this away from us. So I give them all credit for that, Missoula and the players.
And so when you talk about, and getting back just to Tatum a little bit, there was one thing he did say in after Game 5 that I wanted to get your take on it, Joe.
Season was like the most relaxed and carefree that I've been in my career. Understanding that, we won last year and we accomplished the ultimate goal. You kind of got that monkey off your back. So, obviously the goal is still the same this year, to win and compete for a championship. But I've just enjoyed this season of, playing carefree basketball and, not having to hang over my head. It's been fun to do. And I just have a sense of freedom that I've just carried this season, with that.
How do you feel about that? Because I'm torn on that statement, because that statement to me, that's a real passive kind of
It is.
We're satisfied.
that's-
A
listen.
satisfied statement.
I don't know if it's a satisfied statement, Chris, but I think that's his personality. That's him, right? You know, I finally get the monkey
He
off my
speaks the
back.
truth.
He speaks the truth. That's his personality. And listen, I think they were pressing, Chris. That series against Golden State when they lost a couple of years back, him and Brown were pressing. There was a lot of pressure on them, Chris. Everybody said they had the best team in the NBA, and Golden State has no business being in this series. And they were pressing, Chris. They were bouncing balls off their feet, off their legs. Like, you could tell they were visibly succumbed to the pressure.
Yeah.
Because they thought that, they hear what everyone is saying about, well, they're not Curry, and they're not LeBron, and they're not this one or that one. And I think they really wanted to prove that, no, we are what we are. We can be champions. But for him to actually visibly come up and say it like the way he did, I don't know. I don't know if I would, but like you said, Chris, he speaks the truth. He tells you what he feels.
Well, as long as his play is intense and he wants to win, that's good enough for us, I think. So B's and C's, we'll pay attention as we move on. And next week, we're going to talk about what's the future hold. What are the rest of these teams going to give them? And should we just even start talking about the Western Conference? So,
hey, Chris, I think next week we need to talk about the fact that this deal looks like it's going to go through with ownership. Yeah. And what's that going to look like for this team next year, the next 2 or 3 years moving forward? Because I don't know if they're going to keep that salary that they got.
No, and announcing it now, what's it going to mean to the mental state of this team in this playoffs? We'll talk about that. But B's and C's was presented by the Pats Nation, Sundays, 8 a.m. Eastern. Hey, tomorrow, tune in because we're going to have our complete draft breakdown, everything that happened in the draft, and we're going to be throwing things, yelling, swearing, you name it, we're going to do it. But when we come back, going to go back in the week in Weekly Rewind, talk about some of this draft, all that and more, no flipping.
Sundays are for football, and here in New England, that means it's the Pats Nation with CORSO and CATONE. Sundays, 8 to 9 a.m.
Back in with more Corso and Catone, the real deal, New England feel. Okay, guys, the draft happened. Okay, now we're gonna go into in depth tomorrow on the Pats Nation. So try to stay in time here, Mark. I know you got a million things to say, but
I'm going to save it. I'm going to save it for tomorrow. Tomorrow, you're going to have to put a timer on me.
Right, but we want to talk a little bit about it today, and we're going to do it in a weekly rewind. We're going to do it now. Going back through the week, about a weekly rewind. So, Mark, I want to talk about the first 3 picks, okay? And then again, tomorrow we'll talk more about the rest of them more in depth. But I want to talk about the first 3 picks. And I want to get your take on it. Now, last week we talked a lot. And it aired after the draft, but we happened to be right. It wasn't a huge prediction. Everybody knew Campbell was going to be taken.
Yep.
Your reaction?
We knew it was going to be him, Chris. I mean, as you go back and look at the board, I still think I would have taken Jalen Walker. But they did what they did. I mean, you need a left tackle. I mean, the other issue was, Chris, nobody was willing to trade down with them. The only thing evidently, the only people that wanted to trade up are people they wanted Travis Hunter, which we weren't getting. So there was no value in where we were picking, Chris. There was no value. We couldn't move down. Nobody would trade with us. So you were stuck at that position. And
thought maybe if somebody wanted to come up and get Genty.
Yeah, that didn't happen. And I think, Chris,
you had to win that goddamn Buffalo game, Mark.
Don't get me started. In fairness to Vrabel and the Patriots, Chris, I think they seriously consulted Dante Scarnecchia. I think they had him watch a lot of film on this kid. I think they seriously consulted with Marone. And Scarnecchia said the next day, I think it was on EEI, he said, the kid's got fantastic feet and footwork. And with that, if he takes coaching, this kid will be okay. At tackle, he said.
Yeah. Well, he's an athlete. There's no question he's an athlete. and it's going to take some coaching, and it's going to take some adjusting to these types of defensive ends and edge guys that have just a longer reach than him. You know, and now you also have to deal with the switches. You have to deal with the stunts and things that are happening on the defensive front. You know, to deal with your inside too.
And eventually, Chris, could he get in a couple of years? Could they get another good tackle and kick him over the guard? I guess they could. You still think that'll be the possibility down the road if they somehow can score a good tackle that left tackle that he could eventually get kicked inside. I mean, It's not going to happen next year. Next year, Chris, he's going to be your starting left tackle. I
honestly think that if he gets through next year and he looks pretty good, that's where I think he's going to stay.
They'll stick
him.
Right.
And you know what? Here's the deal. If he turns out to be a tackle and he turns out to be your left tackle, because he's definitely got the mental.
Oh, he does.
You know, this guy, what do you say? I'll fight and die for my quarterback is what he said. Okay. So I think this decision was made to pick him months ago, you know, because the way
they released a video this week of him, Chris. He's deadlifting like 660, right? Like 660 pound deadlifting. And all the guys are around him. The whole LSU team's around him. He's going to deadlift 660. And they put the bar on his shoulders and he looks up at the guy videoing it and he winks at him. It smiles and he goes down and it's like effortlessly, you know, and I'm saying to myself, this kid's a beast. Kid's a beast, Chris. Now, whether or not he can conform to being a left tackle in the NFL, the kid's got the mental mindset to be a left tackle. He's got the mental mindset to do it. Yeah. You know.
Well, you guys didn't see my video yet of me deadlifting 680. No, 3 times. No issue in a row. You know? Be snap me and right in half. Anyway, so all right, that's
potato chips, maybe.
There you go.
There we go.
So that's the first pick. Now, talking about the second pick. Now, TreVeyon Henderson, Ohio State running back. The pro comp to him is like, I would say, Breece Hall.
Is that the pro comp? Okay,
I think that's, for me, in my opinion, that's kind of what he is. You know, he last season he was 22% of Ohio State's production and carries that went 10 plus yards. He's explosive guy. I mean, he runs a 4.43, which means once he gets that's in the 80 some odd percentile. So once he gets out in the open field, he's gone. He's a good route runner,
which they don't have in the backfield right now, Chris.
No, now he's not a volume runner between the tackles. You know, he's 5'10", 202, so he's not big enough for that. This is like this got to be like a Gibbs kind of guy, or like you say, Breece Hall. He'll have a package. This is not a 3-down back. Now, what's going to probably make him more of a 3-down back is he's excellent in pass pro. Yeah, I mean, he picks up blitzes better than any college running back. So this is a good football player. I mean, this is a good football player who I still
at 38
taken in the second round.
Chris, at 38 is a good.
I wouldn't have taken him there. You?
No. So here's what I would have did, and I'll get into more detail tomorrow about this. But I would have taken, Luther Burden there or Mason Taylor, either one of them, because then in the 4th round, when there was a big run on running backs, 4th round was the run on running backs, Chris. Yep. I would not have taken the safety they took from Cal because I think he's a stiff. Yeah, I wouldn't have taken the safety in the 4th round from Cal. I would have taken, you drafted 106, the running back from Georgia, who we both liked, went like 114. Trevor Etienne, good out of the backfield, can catch the ball, 3rd down back. I would have drafted him in the 4th round. So you got your running back. You got your 3rd down back.
Yeah.
And you could have taken an offensive player, him. And then the rest of your draft, Chris, you still could have did everything else you did. You could have traded back all the stuff they did in the rest of the draft. You still could have accomplished all of that and taken the same exact players.
Yeah.
All you would have did was do something different in the 2nd and 4th rounds. And I think that would have been that's my opinion.
Not only that, I would have traded up for Higgins.
That I was saving. I was saving that little kernel.
But we'll talk about that tomorrow. I do want to talk quickly about Kyle Williams, and we got some clips on Eliot Wolf. Okay. Kyle Williams, this is the one that pissed you off.
I
know you're reserving it for a later date.
I'm going to not respond in the grounds that I may incriminate myself. What's that? Plead the Fifth Amendment? Is that what it is,
Right. Yeah.
attorney?
Yeah.
I want to plead the Fifth. No, I didn't like the pick, Chris. I didn't like the listen. He's an X. He's not going to play slot. He's an X. He's an outside guy, Chris. I don't want an outside guy that's 5'10 and a half, 5'11, 190. That's to me. That's not what I have slated for an X. If you're telling me here's an X receiver, I'm going to say no. I'm not drafting him. Not in the 3rd round. You want to take a flyer on a guy like that in the 5th round? Okay, if he's there, great. 3rd round of the draft. I'm just going to talk about that tomorrow. I'll get into the other reasons why I'm not crazy about the pick. But the size alone, Chris.
Yeah,
I don't like him as an X. I don't know about you.
I don't, and a couple. I'll give a couple.
I know
of reasons.
he's got some potential because there was some things you did like about him. But
so I'll tease this, and I'll say 2 things. Okay, when you watch his tape, and you look at the release, you say, "Look at this guy's footwork." When you see him at the stem in a route, you see him at the top of a route on a comeback route, and you see him drive that foot in the ground, and how quick his feet are, and he can spin. Wow. You're saying, whoa, how he gets off the line. He's got a Devontae Adams kind of hop step off the line of scrimmage, how he gets open. You watch that portion of the tape, you're like, woof, this kid's going to get separation. Then you watch it again.
And that's what everybody is saying around here, because that's exactly what they saw, Chris.
Except this. You watch the tape again, and you watch the fact that he never uses his hands. He never uses his hands, his arms, or anything like that to get separation. Why? Because defensive backs
30 and an 8th arm length. His arms are short, Chris.
Right. Oh, that, and he's got small hands, and the fact that nobody really, with the type of crap competition he played against at Washington State, nobody ever pressed him tight. Everything was soft press, meaning 3 yards off. So it allowed his feet to get him open versus his hands. That's the tease. We're going to get into more detail on that tomorrow, Mark, when we break this guy down.
We will. Okay. And I just want a little tease, say this too, Chris. Everyone keeps talking about the Travis Hunter tape. Oh, he burned Travis Hunter. Yeah. That was 2 years ago. First of all, wasn't this year. It was 2 years ago. And go watch that tape that they keep showing. I think the form, Travis Hunter almost fell. The form that Travis Hunter had, he wouldn't be a 5th round cornerback selection based on what you saw for form, Chris. Out of sorts, like just his base, his hips, his feet. Like Hunter looked like he had never played the position before. It had nothing to do with anything Kyle Williams did. I mean, that's really Travis Hunter. He doesn't look like he's even a corner.
Right. Because then he got his coaching. Yeah. Then he got his coaching, and he was better the next year. So tomorrow we'll talk more about, Jared Wilson, Craig Woodson, Farmer, Swinson, and some of the other guys that they drafted.
Long snap.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm so excited for the kicker as well. A couple of things, though, before we get to Catone's comments. Vrabel versus Wolf. Listen to Eliot Wolf this week. It's hard to listen to him. Okay. But these are the things he had to say, Joe.
The hardest decision tonight. The hardest decision tonight was what to eat. I wasn't really excited about some of the choices in there, but eventually they no, I'm, in all honesty, there was some really good conversations before our first pick with Coach Vrabel and Ryan and Cam and Matt and Alonzo. Just there was a little bit of a debate about who we were going to pick, and ultimately one of the players we were talking about got drafted, so it didn't end up mattering. But I think it was a really good step in the right direction, just for us working together in our relationship as coworkers, and because we have to have productive disagreements for this to work. Like, we can't just agree on everything, we can't just acquiesce to each other on something. So I think it was really productive from that standpoint.
So, and then we're going to hear from him in a second again. I hear that, right? And now, did I miss it? He was saying that they had debate about the first pick, or was it
Henderson. It was the second pick. It was TreVeyon Henderson. The rumor was that there was a guard. The guard, I want to say, I don't know if he was from Arizona, guard tackle combo,
Yeah.
maybe, Chris.
Yeah.
And somehow they think information got leaked out because Miami somehow realized New England was probably going to draft him, and they jumped up ahead of New England to take the kid because that was the guy that was on the board. It was the chances were they were going to take another lineman in the second round. And then when he came off the board, I think Henderson just flashed. Oh my God, the highest rated guy we got on our board is Henderson. How do we not take him? We thought he was going to be going in the first round.
Yeah, you're talking about Jonah Salvania.
I think that's who he's talking about, Chris.
Yeah, and so now I'm wondering which guy was on which side.
That we don't know. Don't know.
And who came? I have to believe Vrabel wins.
I have to believe Vrabel.
Well, you took an Ohio State guy versus a U of A guy.
I have to believe that Vrabel and those guys were on the Ohio State guy. You know.
So it was interesting that he said this, and then he did his little weasel thing. Okay, and then he said this.
How did you guys do things better this year than you did last year or in years past?
I just think the whole vision for the team was really good. Not that we didn't have that last year, or with Bill previously, but there was a lot of clear communication between Vrabel and our staff. He was around a lot in our meetings. It was just a really good process. And I would say, as the guys are still working on it right now, hopefully they're closing some of these undrafted free agent deals out. And this is on me from last year. We just didn't have an organized enough process. And Ryan Cowden and Coach Vrabel and Stretch really came in and help me organize this, and I think we're gonna have a productive group.
You little bastard, you. Okay, you little bastard. Because don't you love people who's I know we're cutting into Catone's comments. You okay with that?
That's all right. I'm all right with that.
It's always nice to hear somebody sound like they're taking responsibility for something, but really what they're doing is throwing somebody else under the bus. So don't sit there, you little weasel, and say, and sit there and say, this is on me, those guys weren't in the room last year. Now Vrabel and Cowden and all these guys
for doing that, Chris.
Right. So that's a shot at Mayo and company. That's a shot at Bill Belichick. Okay. Yeah. Basically saying they didn't get involved in our process enough. This is on me, but this year they're in the process more. So you're not really blaming yourself for anything. You're blaming them.
Yes,
I guess it's their fault that you drafted Polk and Baker and traded out didn't get McConkey and put that crap offensive line together and all your free agent picks like Okafor. Mark.
If that's truly the case, then he shouldn't have a job. He should have been fired. If the coach, if the other regimes weren't involved enough in the process, and you were making those decisions in isolation, then
You're the GM.
Based on what you did and the production of those guys, you should have been fired.
Right.
Shouldn't have a job.
You're the GM. You're the GM, right?
Chris,
or were last year too.
Speaking of that, real quick, you brought up to me right after the draft, you said, Mark, believe it or not, we're already moving on to, okay, what does the draft room look like for next year? You said, there's guys are going to start to disappear shortly that were in that draft room because Vrabel had to keep the entire scouting department this year. He had no choice because of when he was hired. One guy's already gone. One guy's already gone. The area scout for the Southeast, by the way, SEC country, gone. He's moving on to something else, blah, 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 blah. They must have said, get rid of him. Whatever he's doing in the SEC isn't good enough. Whatever scouting he's doing in that conference, that's the best conference in America, and get rid of him. So he already moved on, Chris.
And we said that would happen.
That was like 2 days after the draft that got announced.
You had to use their data.
Yeah.
Because you get hired in January, Vrabel and Cowden and these guys. And now you got to use the data these guys came up with, which is why I don't think Eliot Wolf's going to be here next year.
The silver lining is hearing him say that, basically I was disorganized and these guys came in and organized it. And you go, okay, good. That's a good thing.
That is a good thing, Joe.
It is a good thing. But you know what's funny? He says, this is on me. We weren't as organized as we could be. But not because I wasn't organized. He didn't say I wasn't organized. He said we weren't as organized because those guys chose to not be in the room with us. Which is bullshit. It's sickening. It's sickening to listen to that kid talk. It really is. I'm just saying. Just saying, Mark. So, but we're going to have a lot more on this tomorrow on the Pats Nation 8 a.m. So make sure you're tuning into that because we're going to have a boatload of stuff to talk about. But Weekly Rewind was presented by CORSO Law Group, Arizona's leading criminal and traffic law firm. CORSOLawGroup.com. Allow us to be your voice. And we come back. Buckle up. Catone's Comments is next.
No one ever thinks they will be in need of a criminal or traffic lawyer, but things happen. CORSO Law Group is Arizona's leading criminal and traffic law firm. Call or go online to CORSOLawGroup.com and talk with these expert attorneys who I know will help.
Time for Catone's Comments!
So I'm going to pick back up where we left off with the Celtics, where I'm going to pick up at least with NBA talk a little bit. So during the regular season, Chris and I have talked about, and numerous times we've talked about, these guys and the flopping, right? And that's one of the things we can thank LeBron James for, right? Is this flopping and complaining about every call. And we got that's one of the legacies.
I'm so glad he's out of the playoffs.
Oh, you were thrilled last night. You were texting me. You were thrilled. But that's one of the legacies that LeBron's going to leave us with is this whole flopping and then also this taking a day off and resting and missing games. That never happened before until he came into the league. But so thanks, LeBron. But anyways, so now the flopping and all of that stuff, and during the regular season, in addition to that, everybody loves each other. They're all kissing each other, giving each other, they exchange jerseys. The All-Star weekend's like a big love fest. Who's exchanging jerseys, who's recruiting who to come to what team next year. Everybody in the NBA loves each other. They get along. There's no more of that fiery competition where the Celtics and the Pistons legitimately hated each other back when Bird played. I mean, Bird threw the ball at Lambert's head. They were ready to kill each other, right? Those days in the NBA, they're gone. Those days don't exist anymore, right? Those rivalries where these teams really legitimately hated each other, that don't exist. They're going out having wine together and dinner after games, right? So this particular playoff, this whole playoffs around the league is interesting because now, if you watch the Celtics and the Orlando series, Orlando tried to get physical with the Celtics. They tried to, they tried to muscle up a little bit and get a little physical and a couple of fouls. People said, those were dirty fouls. Well, I don't know if they were, but they did try to get physical. And when Tatum went to the ground, Horford was in somebody's face. Horford wanted to go at him. They had to pull Horford away. It looked like Horford wanted to fight him, right? Because he thought it was a dirty play when Caldwell Pope hit Tatum. Well, across the league, throughout the playoffs, you're seeing fights like you've never seen before. Listen, it's the playoffs. The intensity is ratcheted up, right? The defense, now guys are playing defense. They haven't played defense all year. They let you do whatever you want. They wide open jumpers, whatever. Now all of a sudden, people are giving elbows when you're trying to run a screen. They're getting physical. You go up for a layup, you're getting banged. It's not uncontested anymore. It's the playoffs. So the level of intensity has gone up. Well, now these guys can't take it because it's become a soft league. Now they all want to fight. There's fights all over the league now in the playoffs because these guys can't take the intensity. But that's what basketball was always like. But not in this league. This league's become so soft. And I'm going to be honest with you, during the regular season, sometimes to me, depending on who's playing, it's actually almost unwatchable at times. When you watch how some of these teams play, there's no defense, there's no nothing. So I'm glad guys are getting physical in the playoffs. Damn it, hit somebody in the face, make it a goddamn hockey game, bloody their face up, do something, throw elbows, punches. I love it, right? That's what basketball's supposed to be like when Lambert and Mahorn would clothesline people. I love that basketball. So now, listen, suck it up, toughen up. It's the NBA, it's the playoffs. You got to toughen up and play. People should be banging you and hitting you. You're playing for a trophy. Toughen up. This league's become soft. It's a soft league. And this is a perfect example of it, Chris. All these fights, these guys don't know what to do because they're getting hit. They're getting an elbow, and now all of a sudden they want to throw punches because somebody elbowed them. Really?
Joe, he's fired up here.
I love it. I love it.
He's gonna get up and start throwing punches over there. To somebody. Listen.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, but you know what though, Mark? You know what's even more irritating than that?
What?
Okay, yeah, but the load management crap, I'm with you a little bit. First of all,
The load management crap.
I'm so happy the Lakers.
How about yesterday, Chris? How about yesterday, though?
Luka Doncic. What did I say about that slob?
Oh, that slob. Chris, he looked out of shape yesterday. Let me tell you something. He looked out of shape yesterday. In that fourth quarter, he was winded. He was leaning over, hands on his knees. Well, he was gassed. The last 5 minutes of that game, the Lakers him and LeBron were gassed.
That fool coach didn't help him any either. Redick.
Oh, well, they praised him all year, Chris. And you were texting me last night. You're saying, Mark, what are his substitution patterns? He said he's does he even know what he's doing? This guy.
He's a horse's ass, and then he's pompous on top of it all because he is an answer for everything. But back to I'll tell you what pisses me off even more. Okay, if you're gonna fight, then fight. Okay, if you're gonna fight, then fight. Don't give me this little crap about waiting for somebody to get in front of you, and then you're going like a maniac trying to get at people.
Oh, yeah.
I love it.
Coach is coming off the bench that fast, where if you really wanted to fight, let's put it this way. When Dr. J and Bird were going
that was that difference
there in Parrish, they had plenty of times to get a clock somebody in the face. No issue. They had plenty of time to do it, Mark. All of a sudden, everybody wants to come on. It's like in baseball when the bench is clear, but nothing really happens. And it's kind of like, look, if you're that pissed off about something that happened to one of your guys or you, then get up and punch him in the face. Don't wait till the coach comes running out and the 5'4" referee weighing about 160 pounds is able to hold you back. He's able to hold an NBA player back, Mark? Get the hell out of it. They don't really want to fight. It's all a show. It's all bullshit. I can't stand it.
I told
Punch
you.
the guy in the mouth then if you're going to fight.
That's what I just said. It's soft. They're soft.
Yes.
This league's soft, Chris. It's a soft league.
It is. So don't pretend. Stop pretending out there that you're fired up and you're going to fight with somebody. Then if you're going to fight with somebody, fight with someone. No?
Absolutely. Positively. Look at Joe. Joe, what do you think, Joe? If you're going to do it, just do it, right?
Just do it. Just do it. And by the way, you got to remind the fans that we're fans. We're not just the flagship stations who would definitely be they would definitely take the perspective of, well, we don't really want people to fight. And
we want it.
It's one of those things. We're fans. We're fans. Real fans out there. That's why we watch boxing. That's why we watch MMA. People love watching each other beat each other up. Yeah. What else is there?
I tell you what, you want to fight? NBA players, you guys really want to fight with each other? Then why don't you put the rule in like the hockey has? Let them fight. Let them get out of the way and let the two guys go at it, like in hockey. If you really want to fight, you'll see how wuss bag they really, really, really are, these guys over here. Because they are. All their load management and every time, and the flopping. Every single guy a guy is touched, he hits the ground.
So last night, I'm watching the Lakers, and LeBron goes to set a screen on at the top of the key. One of his guys had the ball. I don't know if it was Reeves, Austin Reeves, is dribbling at the top of the key. So James runs over, he's to set a pick, and the guy from Minnesota slides, so he misses him. And his shoulder, LeBron's going to throw a shoulder. The shoulder hits his guy. His guy flops to the ground because he's pretending like the Minnesota guy hit him. And the ref calls a foul on the guy from Minnesota. But they couldn't challenge it because they had no more challenges left. It was blatantly LeBron hit his own guy. The guy falls to the ground like he just got killed. And they call and he draws the foul on the guy from Minnesota who never touched him. Never touched him.
Yeah. And you get a little touch, and they're like, oh, like I just fell off the stool. You know what I mean? Like what? I never.
You better take care of yourself over there. You're gonna break a bone. You're 100 over there.
No, but it's like, come on, dude. It's a joke. And then this whole thing about the 3-point. Every time somebody throws up a 3-point, you touch them, you're coming down in your space. In this space. Like I watched that Detroit game. they were beating the hell out of each other all game long, which was fantastic. Then all of a sudden they're calling a foul. Somebody just grazed them on the 3-point foul.
The
three
grazing.
shots.
The grazing is outrageous in the NBA and all of basketball. Like, I can understand those things, the flopping in soccer, in European football. But
unwatchable.
I don't condone it, but the only reason why I understand is because there's one referee like miles away from them, and they have to, show that they got hit, and they got to do a great performance. In basketball, they're all these huge guys that are like standing on top of each other. Like, how could you not see that? Yeah. The yellow card.
The yellow card. He's gonna bring out the freaking yellow card now, you nut. Listen, it is true, Joe. I mean, how do you not see it? I mean, you blow. There's more calls missed in the NBA. They're calling fouls. It's just ridiculous. I mean, it's getting to the point where I think you should stop fining these guys, Chris, for flopping. If you're someone who's continually flopping, they should fine you.
Well, they're supposed to. I mean,
they don't. They never do.
And Mark, this is good stuff. I like this one. I like this good stuff. Punch him in the mouth. Go punch him. Get up and punch him in the face. Good stuff, Mark.
You're condoning violence.
Violence. I am. Condone it. Get out. Road rage. All of it. Do it.
He's the first person they call. That's why.
That's it.
By the way, he's on the phone with me the other day. He's going to somewhere, Joe, and he's yelling, talking about road rage. Yeah, go ahead. You want to move? Go ahead. Car in front of me. Go ahead. He's screaming at the car. Joe.
Catone's comments was presented by the Pats Nation, Sundays, 8 a.m. Eastern. Make sure you tune in tomorrow. We're going to have our full draft breakdown, a lot of detail, a lot of things to discuss, so you definitely don't want to miss that. But, hey, when we come back, I want to hear from one of you in the nation in Heated Hotline. Stick around.
Sundays are for football. And here in New England, that means it's the Pats Nation with Corso and Catone. Sundays, 8 to 9 a.m.
Back in with more Corso and Catone, the real deal New England feel. All right, Mark, it's time to hear from somebody in the nation and Heated Hotline. Joe?
Oh, this one's going to have a little setup because we heard from so many people, and I think some people might, by this point in the show, figure out what we're talking about, the setup here, because we had so many people write in about Belichick.
Oh, yeah.
Uh-oh.
The collective had comments and things to say, and the majority was the same, but basically it's about that. Let me play this clip for you.
The messy split from Robert Kraft and the Patriots in early 2024.
He's got a cold, so I'm not going to kiss him.
I have to ask about Robert Kraft because 24 years together, 6 Super Bowls. Unless I'm wrong, he's not in this book. How come?
He's not. Well, again, it's about my life lessons in football, and it's really more about the ones that I experienced directly.
But he's not even in the acknowledgement section.
Correct.
Correct.
Do you feel like you were treated with dignity and respect when you were let go by Robert Kraft?
Yeah, well, it was a mutual decision for us to part ways.
He said fired.
It was a mutual decision.
Okay.
Okay.
It's a good one, Joe.
Wait, we got more. Wait,
let us comment on that first before you go to the next, because I think I know what the next thing is.
Yeah.
If I had a guess. All right, let's talk about that portion of it first, okay?
Oh my God.
First of all, you're doing a you're there to promote your book, okay? You got a new book. It's CBS Morning. It's like a CBS morning show, which you're talking about lobs, softballs. Nobody's pressing you on anything. I don't blame him for the animosity he has to Kraft. I don't. Because
I don't blame him.
Basically stuck it right in his ass. You know what I mean?
Yep.
In a lot of ways. All right. So that's fine. I have no problem with that. But you have to understand that you don't have the control anymore. like you did here, right? Like you're Belichick. You can't control the media anymore. CBS doesn't give a rat's ass who you are. They don't care. They're not gonna adhere to your standard and what you want to talk about and not talk about. It's just not gonna happen.
Well,
right?
Chris, interestingly enough that you bring that up, today Belichick releases a statement basically saying that we had an agreed upon thing that we were only going to. Now, this gets into the next thing I think Joe's going to play, but he starts asking personal questions. So I think, according to Belichick's statement, just to summarize briefly, it basically was, you're going to give me slow pitch softballs. This is what we agreed upon. It's only going to be about the book. And then they start to, because I think the guy started to get frustrated with his answers. Now he said, okay, screw you. And he veered off and started asking other questions that, according to Belichick, they agreed were off the table.
Outside the scope.
But then CBS responds to what Belichick releases and says, no, that's not true. He knew what we were going to ask. And
we had no agreement.
We had no agreement in place. Like we had latitude to ask whatever we wanted.
Yep. Joe, go ahead.
Well, we got to give the fans what they want, and here it is.
Everybody in the world seems to be following this relationship. They've got an opinion about your private life. It's got nothing to do with them, but they're invested in it. How do you deal with that? Never been too worried about what everybody else thinks. Just try to do what I feel like is best for me and what's right. How did you guys meet?
Not talking about this.
No?
No.
It's a topic neither one of them is comfortable commenting on.
We're not talking about this.
We're not talking to that. That's Jordon Hudson, his 24-year-old girlfriend, who evidently she was sitting at the desk. Everybody's seen this by now. She was sitting at the desk, and evidently that was just one clip and bit of what she did in that interview. She stormed off at one point. It's reported, right? She had some other things to say. So, yeah, you're right. I think CBS was pissed off and basically saying, okay, normally we would edit those things out, but screw you, Bill. We're not going to edit those things out because you made this such a friggin' calamity with your girlfriend sitting over there.
And Chris, so this has been talked about all week on local sports shows and media, and you picked up on something that we won't name the local person who said it unless you want to. I'm not going to. And you caught a clip of what he said. What did he say, Chris, about how the media dealt with Belichick?
Yeah, I mean, I Curran said it. I think Felger said it, where they came out and basically said, hey, look, this is CBS. They don't care who you are. We had to play ball with him. Basically.
For access.
Yeah, now I'm paraphrasing. We had to basically play ball with him for access. So we could only press him as far as we could press him. And then, we would lose access or we would lose him. So we couldn't really do that.
Wait, I'd like to hear that clip. You go find that. We'll find that.
You're a journalist?
What he says.
I've always said, Mark, these are puppets. They don't press. They don't push. They don't do anything.
And that comment, Chris, that comment that you heard, there it is.
So what the hell kind of journalist are you if you're not going to push them? What? Because you won't answer anyway, so why do it? The hell kind of, what is that?
Yeah, Mark, get away with it.
But getting back to her, okay? Getting back to this little situation going on. So I guess she's like his publicist and
she's his publicist. It's almost like his manager.
This girl's got no idea what the hell she's doing. She shouldn't be doing it. And by the way, Steve Belichick's wife then came out and said basically she doesn't know what she's doing. She shouldn't be in a position to do any of that. And by the way, nobody in the family likes her.
Oh, how about that?
Mark, look, she's trash. She's over there friggin' with this guy, and we know what she's doing. She's accumulated since 2021.
$9 million in real estate.
In real estate assets. Where the hell did she get that from all of a sudden? But Bill, just answer the question. We met on a plane. Well, you can't answer that question and move on?
Listen, I think he's lost it, Chris. I think he's lost it a little bit. He's at a certain age where he's getting old now. I think he's lost it. He's with this young girl, and he's letting her do whatever she wants because he's chewing on those vitamins. And, so he's got the vitamins. And listen.
Roast box. God.
Listen. But Chris, he'll never coach in the NFL again. This was such a bad look for him. No owner is bringing him back, Chris. This is it for him. This is his last go.
I think he knows that.
I think he knows it. If he didn't know it, this pretty much sealed the deal for him. Like, it's North Carolina, and he's finished. He's never coaching again. This is it. He ain't going anywhere else.
Yeah. I mean, this is completely on him. He looks terrible. I don't think he cares. I don't think he really gives
what
a shit
the hell was
what
that
he looks
sweatshirt
like.
he had on with the hole? Somebody said that was a brand new sweatshirt. That was like a fashion thing. Like, they sell them with that hole in it. That's for kids that are 20 years old.
20 years
him.
old.
Yeah.
And on top of it, how do you not have a UNC shirt on? You're wearing Navy? You got Navy on. You coach
it. Thing. You should have had a UNC hoodie on, right?
How long do you think this is going to last for UNC? How long do you think they're going to
I have to believe, Chris. I have to believe that the athletic department is not happy with all the, with all of this circus and this press.
He better win.
He better win because he's not going to last long there if he doesn't win. Trust me. So I'm interested to see, Chris, how much he has left with X's and O's. Because obviously, whatever's going on, he's lost it. But does he still have it, X's and O's, Chris, to outcoach some of these bozos that are in college?
I think
because we've seen these college coaches, Chris. These guys, some of these guys are clueless. So
I think he does.
Does he still have the X's and O's in him to do that, you think?
Yeah, I think so. Sure, I do. But with all this other stuff, look, at first I thought this is strategic. He's trying to sell his book. And what better way to do it than to go on CBS Morning and do all that crap? Because then it hit Fox News, MSNBC, TMZ. It hit all the outlets. But then
it wasn't about the book, Chris. It was about
but you know what, though, Mark? That
wasn't like something happened over the content of the book where he wrote something scathing about Kraft or something. Anything.
No. And he brings it up in the book. He talks about she's his muse and all this stuff. So that's fair game.
Yeah, no, it is
fair
game.
At first, I thought it was to sell a book. Now I don't think that anymore. I think that he's just lost it. And she's opportunistic. I said trash. I said trash. Okay, opportunistic. She's opportunistic. I'm not taking anything back. I don't take things back on this show.
That's a bad word to use. That's
I
not
don't
true.
care. I heard other people say that.
She's a respectful young lady who's making a living off of a 74-year-old man.
But I think she's done this before.
Whose faculties are in decline.
But I think she's done this before. Listen, he's got benefits here too. I'm sure there's a reason he's with her. I don't know what that is. We don't want to speculate, Roast Box. We don't want to speculate. But the bottom line is she's opportunistic. She's developed a portfolio. She's making money. I feel bad for his family. Okay? That's who I feel bad for. Because they got to get dragged through the mud through all this too.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, they're gonna make out on the book sales.
Yeah, are they though? Are they going to get the money, or
they're
she
inherit all that money?
Well, listen, you know what I want to tell Steve Belichick's wife? Well, but he's your meal ticket, honey. He's your meal ticket, honey. What would your husband would be parking cars at the local diner if it wasn't for the father?
That's true.
You know what I mean? That's your meal ticket, honey.
Well, because they're watching their inheritance get pissed away now.
Well, that's true too, I guess, right? That's true, Chris.
You know what I mean? True. I mean, right? Like, what? And maybe they care about the father. I don't know. But
no, that's true.
We'll have to assume they do.
Yeah, she propped him up in the Navy T-shirt like we did that Birdies.
This girl has no clue what she's doing. She has no idea what she's doing. She knows she doesn't know what she's doing. This is a real shit show. What's going on here? I can't wait to see
I got news
next.
for you, Chris. She's not going anywhere either.
Oh, would you?
No.
So good looks for Belichick. I can't wait. We're going to keep following this. So thanks for that heated hotline, Joe. But Corso and Catone was presented by the Pats Nation, Sundays, 8 a.m. Eastern. Hey, like I said, tomorrow we're going to have it all. We're going to recap the whole draft. We'll talk maybe a little bit more about this too, if we have some time there, and so much more. So make sure you're coming back to that. And next week, come back to this show, noon Eastern. We're going to break down the undrafted free agents that we signed. Mark has a few to talk about. Celtics playoffs, Catone's comments, and anything you bring to the table, we will be ready. We are Corso and Catone, the real deal, New England feel. See you next Saturday.
Now find Corso and Catone on AM 790, The Score, iHeartRadio, iTunes, wherever you podcast. Or subscribe to the YouTube channel and catch the chaos every Saturday at noon.